Isn't wrestling fun? Don't you just love wrestling when everything comes together? You just put a smile on your face and you want to do a little wrestling dance. I mean, what a week we have had. On Thursday and Friday, everybody was losing their minds. But now it's Sunday morning and everybody is pleased as punch. I mean, it can be absolutely exhausting being a wrestling fan. But when you take things like AEW Revolution, well, I'm glad to be involved. But my name is Simon Miller. Welcome to WhatCulture Wrestling. And because All Elite Wrestling just had their first pay-per-view of the decade, we have to take this, the finger of power, and give the good bits an up and the bad bits a down. And look, remember, some things you're going to agree with me on, some things you're going to yell at your YouTube box and go, oh, Simon Miller, you're a bald asshole. But as long as we're friends, that's all that matters. Let's up those downs. I've really enjoyed the kickoff show. I mean, we never say those words. Usually we are saying something very different. But it was SCU versus the Dark Order, and they had a little bit of a match, but also we had some good old-fashioned storytelling. Giving it up. And it was straightforward enough. Obviously, the Dark Order's minions kept getting involved because they're minion here. Make up some word, I don't know what I'm talking about. Which allowed Uno to smash Scorpio Sky in the back with a lariat. Grayson used the most devastating move in all sports entertainment, the surprise cradle, to roll him up. And the Dark Order got the victory. And the Dark Order had to get a victory because obviously we're headed to finding out who the hell the Exalted One is. The match was kind of irrelevant too because it's all about what went down afterwards. The Dark Order started beating up on Scorpio Sky and Frankie Kazarian until, of all people, Colt Cabana ran down. Now I was like, is Colt Cabana here because he signed to AEW, or is he just here because he's in Chicago and he's like Chicago's Batman? Here's a problem, he's like, here comes Super Colt. As it turns out, he has signed with All Elite Wrestling, so salute to him, he absolutely deserves it. But of course, Colt Cabana is only one man. The Dark Order has around about 32,322 people. He just got beaten up. Then, however, a hooded figure appeared at the top of the aisleway as if it was Raw in 1999, and when they exposed their hood, can you believe it? It was Vince McMahon, and he got on the microphone and he went, it was me, Austin, it was me, all along. Didn't happen. If that did happen, the world would no longer be here because the wrestling internet community would have exploded. But it was Christopher Daniels, as a little bit of a wink, wink, nudge, nudge, to around about 20 years ago. And maybe within that moment you thought, oh my gosh, he's actually in charge of the Dark Order, but he's not. He got rid of that gown, he ran down to the ring, and he helped his friends, because friendship comes from the heart. And I am now confident in saying that All Elite Wrestling has turned this angle completely around. I can't wait to find out who the leader is. Fingers crossed it's Matt Hardy, and then they'll feud with SCU, and hopefully they'll just kill him. This was all right. I wouldn't say the same about our main opener though, which was Jake Hager versus Dustin Rhodes. And look, it was a decent, okay match. But the problem was there'd been so much hype about AEW Revolution. Everyone's been losing their minds. I thought this is going to be the best pay-per-view I've ever seen in my life. My eyes are going to fall out of my head and fall on the floor, and then hopefully I won't crush them with my feet. And then they just had a match, and it was kind of deflating. And you got that impression too, because usually crowds on any All Elite Wrestling show are nuts. But on this pay-per-view, during this, they were just kind of subdued, and it took something away. And therefore, it's getting it down. And again, it wasn't bad, it was decent enough, but it was just a match. And I didn't like everything that we did with Jake Hager's wife either. I mean, he kept making out with her. The commentators didn't really make it clear at first it was Jake Hager's wife, so I was like, oh, well, I guess that's just what Jake Hager does with a wrestling match. He's like, oh, there's a woman, and starts kissing her. That's not how I kiss, by the way. That would be really strange. But then Goldust, or Dustin Rhodes, I should say, he then went and found Jake Hager's wife, and he kissed her too, and she didn't really like that. And I just don't think you should be doing that kind of thing in 2020. I mean, in the comments you get mad, just how I feel, just being honest. I was also a little confused because at one point Hager hit his gut-wrench powerbomb, which was his big maneuver in WWE, and I think everybody was meant to react to this, but not even the commentators put it over that big, so that near fall just fell on its ass. Dustin did hit the code red, which felt like the finish, but instead Hager was able to get out of that. He locked on an ankle lock, and after he had distracted the referee, he smashed Dustin right in the balls and then choked him out. And once again, I understand what we're trying to do here. Jake Hager is a tough MMA fighter, so he was using one of those holds, and I appreciate the creativity, because you don't usually see that in pro wrestling, but once more, it just didn't really connect with the crowd, and I will say, it also didn't connect with me. If he was going to beat Dustin Rhodes, I would rather he just use some kind of big move and made me go, wow. So it felt very lackluster, and now everybody's mad at me, but as I've said time and time again, I will always be honest, because I am Mr. Integrity. And a bald asshole. Interestingly, AEW then announced a War Games type match known as Blood and Guts for the March 25th episode of Dynamite. This isn't no pay-per-view. This is going to go down on a Wednesday evening. And I actually think that's really smart because All Elite Wrestling seems much better when they're focused. They have like a dangling carrot to aim towards. Now this can be their dangling carrot. Could be brilliant. Right, then it was Sammy Guevara versus Darby Allin, and I don't even think there's an argument here. This should have been the opener, surely. To tell you what you want about AEW style, I don't care. If you like it, great. If you don't like it, great. I ain't gonna get into that row. But they just ripped their clothes off and went at 72,000 miles an hour, and it was flipping great. And it gets a flip it up. They were so fast out the blocks that I think they both thought that a lifetime's worth of free pizza awaited the winner, because this was chaos, and I mean chaos. I was looking for Sonic and his emeralds, because Sammy Guevara hit a 630 through a table, and then Darby Allin was diving out the ring when Sammy Guevara was carrying off the barricade, but he missed and just smashed his head into the steel. Sammy hit a double stomp to the apron. It was out of control, and I found myself losing my mind because I couldn't keep up with it. Sammy Guevara also hit a Spanish fly, and those two went so high in the air and made they even came back down, but he was a fool because he went and removed the turnbuckle pad and exposed the steel underneath. And that is like being promiscuous in a horror movie. You are going to get killed. So Darby monkey flipped him into that, eventually hit the coffin drop, and he got the 1, 2, 3. And this was the equivalent of taking, I don't know, an injection of heroin and just putting it right into your face, right into your eyes. Like, you didn't dare blink because you didn't know what you were going to miss. Darby wasn't done here either, because he was going to whip Sammy's ass with a skateboard until Jake Hager returned to save his inner circle friend. And it's just great. It's just great. It was so fast. It was so entertaining. I was never bored. Didn't have time to think about being bored. And a round of applause. We were then giving the Young Bucks taking on Hangman Page and Kenny Omega for the AEW World Tag Team titles. And my word, I mean, what am I meant to do? I'm just a normal human being making my way through life, and now I've got to somehow provide critique for what I believe was a tag team masterpiece. And that's why it doesn't just get an up, it gets a gold dub. I mean, it had everything, all the moves, all the maneuvers, and there was proper storytelling, and there was drama, and there was depth. And the coolest thing was, as this thing went on, the Young Bucks kind of healed it up a little bit, but you couldn't be too mad at them, because the reason they started to heal it up is because Hangman Page just spat in their face. So you're like, well, Hangman, you shouldn't have done that, but now Matt and Nick, you're kind of being dicks too. It was brilliant. This is an incredible situation where you don't really have faces or heels. You choose who you like, and then you go in that direction, but then you may be a little bit torn because you actually like everybody else as well. That, my friends, is professional wrestling. At one point, Page was even going to use a table, but Kenny Omega had to talk him out of it. He had to calm him down. So he had all these plot points just smashing you in the face, and it was like watching a good movie. I mean that, it really, really was. Or if you want to be more 2020, something on Netflix. From there, I can't even do it justice. I mean, the amount of counters, the amount of reversals, the amount of high-risk maneuvers that they almost killed themselves doing. We even had 2 hot tags from each team that was met with like a thunderous noise from the crowd. They couldn't have been more into this if they tried. From bell to bell, they were just losing their shit. However, as great as this all was, and this doesn't take anything away from what we've seen, we do need to talk about that little spot when Hangman Page eventually did throw somebody through some wood. Because when all this broke down and the klaxon sounds, well, you know how it works, everybody was in the ring doing their big stuff, Hangman went and got Nick Jackson and he just powerbombed him through a table from the outside. And the referee was just watching this, and the ref went, well, I don't see a problem with that. I mean, if you want to use the table, who am I to tell you off? Now, 1, this match didn't need it. Didn't need that. We already had enough going on. And 2, in the previous match, we'd already seen a table spot. And 3, there should have been a disqualification. Now, I don't actually mind it that much because I was having so much fun. It's like if I'm on a roller coaster and someone accidentally splashes ice cream in my face, I lick it off and go, oh, well, it's not great, but ice cream is delicious. But sometimes you've got to put your critical hat on. They didn't need this. It shouldn't happen. It probably should have been DQ, therefore down. I mean, you have to have some rules. Otherwise, why didn't Hangman just go get a chair in the opening minute and smash it into Nick Jackson's head? And people do take this stuff seriously. When I sit down with non-wrestling fans and I watch it with them, these are the questions they ask. So I am just throwing it out there. Hello, comments. It didn't take away from the sheer work of art that this was, though, and you should go and watch it if you do believe yourself to be a fan of the Graps. I mean, at one stage, Hangman Page even hit a one-winged angel, and he got such a close near fall on it. I mean, Matt Jackson broke up at the last second. It just made that move even more devastating than it already was. It doesn't even matter if Kenny Omega doesn't hit it, the one-wing angel will put anybody down. From there, it seemed like our tag team champions were in trouble because Kenny Omega was selling his shoulder like he wasn't going to be able to do any kind of a move, so Hangman Page decided he would take over. He hit a buckshot lariat on Matt, he hit a buckshot lariat on Nick, that's hard to say, and after that, he got the 3 count, so still your AEW tag team champions, Kenny Omega and the Alcoholic. However, all is definitely not well, because afterwards the Young Bucks wanted to shake their opponent's hands, and while Kenny Omega did it eventually, because he was reluctant at first, I guess he felt a little bit ousted by everything that happened, but he thought, oh no, as we already established, friendship is important. Hangman Page said, I ain't shaking nobody's hand unless it's the hand of a bear. Doesn't even make sense, but you take my point. And then there was this absolutely amazing tease where it seemed like Hangman was actually going to turn on Kenny, because Omega had his back to Page, and Page put his belt down and grabbed the ropes as if he was going to hit him with a buckshot lariat, but instead when Omega turned around, he just ushered him over to the ropes and gave him a hug. That was so well done, and yet it was so simple. All of this, just great. I mean, what do you want from me? They're brilliant. Nyla Rhodes and Chris Statlander then had to follow this, and anybody in such a position would have struggled because the fans were dead on their feet. They had made so much noise. However, I thought they did a really good job. Give them that up. Apart from that top rope superplex. Now, I don't like talking about stuff like this because we're all human beings deep down. Well, Chris Statlander not, she's an alien, but still, we all make mistakes, is my point. We all make mistakes. The top rope suplex didn't go to plan. I don't know what happened, but when they landed, I honestly thought that maybe they'd both broken their necks, and I felt terrified. Thankfully, it does seem like they're both okay, which is what matters, but it was scary stuff. But outside of this, like I say, they just worked their asses off. And the idea here was that Chris Statlander was trying to kind of use some kind of speed to take Nyla Rhodes down, but Nyla Rhodes is too strong. She is, if you will, a beast. Chris even booped her on the nose at one point and followed up with a DDT, which is my new favorite move. And even though Nyla Rhodes was going to go on to retain her championship here, she hit her beast bomb onto the alien at one point, but she kicked out at 2, so that gave a little bit of a rub to the UFO-loving Chris Statlander. Unfortunately, when they went back to the top rope, it was all done because Nyla was able to reverse a top rope Frankensteiner into a beast bomb from all the way up there, and obviously that got the 1, 2, 3. And I do like Nyla Rhodes as champion. I think it just works, and to me, Chris Statlander just gets better each and every week. So it won't win any Match of the Year awards, but given their spot on the card and what they were able to do, it gets 2 thumbs up from me. Apart from that one spot, my word, it gave me the heebie-jeebies. And then it was MJF versus Cody. You see what happens when you stack your card right? You're going to keep fans invested. And I will say this, I was kind of surprised by the first half of this match. I thought Cody was just going to absolutely lay waste to him because he's been waiting so long to get his hands on Maxwell. But this was kind of just a standard wrestling match at first, with MJF bailing and going into the fans. But I thought it worked. It built my anticipation, it built my suspense, and I realized I was invested from start to finish. And therefore, it was good enough. There was plenty of gaga here, but I kind of think that Cody has a good feel for that stuff, and he understands how to work it into his matches. So of course, Wardlow, or Wardrobe, as my autocorrect kept changing his name to, so from now on, he will be Wardrobe. But Wardrobe was a major factor here, even at one point taking MJF's foot and doop, putting it on the rope. I mean, what a jackass. Arn Anderson was also out by ringside to balance these things out, but at one point, Cody went to take out the Wardrobe, he missed, and he smashed his coat right in the face. I mean, that is not what Arn Anderson was hoping for. Brandy Rhodes was also a factor, and she was being a crazy cat. At one point, she tried to cross-body Wardrobe, which is not a good idea, and you even had ridiculous nonsense like Cody going all the way to the backstage area and then running down the aisle and clotheslining MJF over the top rope. I'm not gonna lie, I cheered on my own sofa as if I just won the lottery. There was also callbacks here as well because MJF took off Cody's boot at one point and stood on his broken toe, which he had broken in his cage match with Wardrobe a couple of weeks ago. And this morning, surely the American Nightmare has got to be kicking himself because he had MJF down for a 3 count a few times, but he lifted his shoulders off the mat because he just wanted to inflict as much carnage as possible. Cody, what were you thinking? And you could say that's the kind of stuff we needed earlier on in the match, this idea that Cody just wanted to rip this guy to shreds, because of course Maxwell Jacob Friedman has just been an utter penis basically since World War II. There was low blows all over the place, as well as Cody's weltmate being brought into proceedings so we could get back to those whips, and you remember all the whips that we saw on Dynamite. And after Cody had hit 2 crossroads, you thought, well, this has got to be it. He's all G'd up, he's all mad, he's going to finish Maxwell right here. It didn't happen. He went for the third. MJF was able to get out the way. He then went into his pants and brought out the diamond ring. You wonder what I was going to say there, but I'm talking about the diamond ring. He punched Cody right in the head, and he actually got a visual pinfall over Cody, and you could just hear the fans' hearts break, and mine broke too. It was the right way to go, and when we get to round 2 of this, it should be a stipulation match, and Cody should try and rip this guy's head off. And look, I know you're all going to be talking about it. Yes, Cody has a neck tattoo. He's a grown man. He can do whatever he wants. But I will say, all the negativity I saw this morning on the internet, sometimes people disappoint me. It rocked though. Maybe it wasn't as intense as some people had imagined, but again, when all was said and done, I realized we'd gone through like a 30-minute match and I'd enjoy myself from moment to moment. That's all I can ask. Cody Rhodes, my favorite babyface. Do you know what was next to Pac versus Orange Cassidy? And before this, I had said sometimes the reactions that Orange Cassidy get were like Hulk Hogan, but here I was proved wrong. The reaction he gets as if he is a man who has come from another dimension to save planet Earth from certain destruction. My word, the fans love him, and if you don't like the gimmick, it is time to get past it, because anybody that is getting cheered this loudly, you just have to bow and say, well done, Orange Cassidy, you have found the keys to the castle. This is getting up. It was so simple too, because after doing all his weak moves, like those stupid leg kicks, which Pac did humor for a while before he just smashed him with a big clothesline, all of a sudden Orange Cassidy pulled the trigger and he was flying around like the best wrestler you've ever seen in your life. I mean, he smashed out a drop kick with his hands in his pockets and then kipped up, and the fans reacted, like I've said, as if it was Hulk Hogan versus The Rock at WrestleMania 18. I ain't even kidding, they could not have been happier. He even smiled at one point to let us know that he was trying, you know, he will try, but unfortunately, he forgot who he was facing, because all of this just pissed off the bastard, and he went to work on Mr. Cassidy, and my word, did he beat him within an inch of his life. I mean, there was one tilt-a-whirl backbreaker he did that hit Orange Cassidy's back so hard, I am surprised Orange just didn't split in two, and Pac didn't just walk around with both parts of his body going, ah, and he probably would have eaten his organs. Pac is crazy. However, you just knew that at one point Cassidy was going to get back into it, and when he did, my word, again, you won't believe the noise if you haven't heard it. So there was a crossbody off the top and a tornado DDT, and he got such a near fall off that one move. I think everybody completely believed that Orange Cassidy was going to win. Unfortunately, again, all this did was annoy Pac. He was like, what are you doing to me, you little schmerl? And he whooped his ass again. Cassidy kept on finding ways to get his offense in though, and it annoyed Pac so much, he went, man, I'm done with this, and he went to roll out of the ring, but the best friends rolled him back in, because obviously they were outside supporting Orange Cassidy. Again, that's what friends are all about, which has been the theme of today's episode of Ups and Down. Then it got well strange, because the Lucha Bros were here, and they fought with the best friends to the back, so I guess that's a new feud, but it also did open the door for Pac. He struck with the Brutalizer to get the victory, but did Orange Cassidy lose here? No, he did not. He is arguably the most popular wrestler that All Elite Wrestling has. I don't know what we're going to do with him going forward, but I will tell you this. Before the end of 2021, so yes, I'm giving myself a wide berth here, Orange Cassidy will have become so popular and so beloved, he will become the AEW champion. Somebody had to say it. I just said it. But seriously, even if you'd never seen wrestling before and you were just flicking through channels, or you decided to buy this pay-per-view for some reason, you would believe that Orange Cassidy is the biggest star in the world, because that's how he gets treated, and perception is reality. I absolutely love this, and I cannot wait to see what we do next with the man that doesn't want any pulp in his OJ. Also, Pac, he can work with anybody. And all you need to know about our main event is that at one point, Jon Moxley bit the stitches of Chris Jericho. I mean, what the hell? These two just kicked each other's asses. They brawled around the arena. They were inside, they were outside. Jericho at one point just put a sign over his head and started mouthing off to the camera. This is everything that you'd want a main event of your big show to be, and it's getting it up. I hit the chair. There was also a nuts powerbomb on the timekeeper's table, which saw Jon Moxley smash his head into the ring bell, and I am genuinely surprised his skull didn't explode. But this was the cool thing about what they were doing here. You had something that was as brutal as that, but then back in the ring, Jericho was looking at Jon Moxley and calling him a piece of shit. I don't know why I found that so amusing. I think it's because Jericho sounded actually annoyed, and as if he did think Jon Moxley was just one big poo. Jericho was also having the time of his life here, and after he thought he had suitably beaten up his challenger, he went outside, he rang the ring bell, and he declared himself the winner. I don't care what anybody says, Chris Jericho is one of the best ever. Proud and Powerful, who were at ringside, of course, kept getting involved, and when Jon Moxley had Chris Jericho in the walls of Jericho, even Jake Hager run down to cause yet more distractions. And if just Jericho had won here, all of this would have been a bit too much for me. However, what we achieved is that the Inner Circle did come across like massive dicks, which they are, but also, hint, hint, spoiler, 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 we are going in a new direction in terms of our champion. Finally, Aubrey Edwards ejected these schmucks because they were just cornered carnage, but in all that tamale, Sammy Guevara popped up from nowhere and he hit Moxley in the head with the world title. And I tell you, that one got me too. Jericho took forever to get the pin. It went 1-2 kick out. I thought that was going to be the end, but it wasn't. Because after ducking the Judas effect, Mox ripped off his eye patch and actually proved, my eye is now healed and I can see everything. This surprised Chris so much he reacted as if he'd just been told he was adopted, and he walked into the paradigm shift. And that's right, ladies and gentlemen, we have a brand new AEW champion, and this was exactly the right thing to do. No one is more over in AEW right now than Jon Moxley, and sometimes you just have to pull the trigger when the fire is hot and the fire right now is roasting. And think of what Chris Jericho has done in his time as AEW champion. Not only did he legitimize that belt, and that belt now feels important, but who's he risen up? Darby Allin, Jungle Boy, Sammy Guevara, Jon Moxley feels more important, Jake Hager, everybody. He has been absolutely excellent. It was also perfect because we had seen a lot of heels win at AEW Revolution, so ending with the biggest of all baby faces getting the title just worked. And afterwards, Moxley cut a promo and he was dropping F-bombs, but most importantly, he just sounded really happy. And I tell you this, happiness is infectious. It kind of comes through the TV and washes over you, and you having that feeling is really, really, really crucial when you're trying to support a good guy. Moxley also told us that he's gonna go have a beer and get wasted, probably with Hangman Page, and it was just a fantastic pay-per-view, or so I thought. Not perfect, a few matches surprised me, and we've gone over all of that, but when we got to the end of the 4 hours, or whatever the running time had been, I felt satisfied. I felt like this was worth my money, and that really is all you need to do. So there's my spinning arrow. Give it an overall up. I am intrigued to see what happens in the next week of wrestling programming. Now, don't forget to leave a comment below and let us know what you thought about last night's AEW Revolution. Like the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel. Then head over to WhatCulture.com, read yourself some articles, follow WhatCulture on Twitter, WhatCulture WWE. Watch more videos here on WhatCulture Wrestling. My name is Simon from WhatCulture. What a hell of a week it's been when it comes to ups and downs. Now I'm going to rest my face, but I will see you soon.